Alright, welcome everybody. We are going to be taking a look at a very cool vehicle for 2023 that is going to be the new and fully updated CR-V from Honda. So for anyone who doesn't know, the Honda just got updated just like the HR-V, which will be coming in a later video, so make sure you're subscribed for that. But the CR-V, the previous generation, has been around since about 2016, so that's about 6 years now, so it was definitely time for a bit of a refresh. Moving around the front, you can certainly tell that they took inspiration from the new HR-V as well as the Honda Passport, which I think is pretty nice. You get a much more chiseled front end, you get a much more aggressive kind of front headlight here. You get that gloss black front grille with the honeycomb lower air intake, because obviously this is still a turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. We'll talk about power and stuff like that in a little bit. This one here is the EXL trim, so has a few more options than the straight base model. So you can see this one has the parking sensors in the front. You also get this little tiny, I don't know if I can see it on camera here, but it is a very little functional air vent, which is nice to see. On a lot of new vehicles you get a lot of those, but they don't actually do anything. Moving around the side, it is definitely a bit more boxy of a vehicle. It still resembles the outgoing CR-V, but it definitely looks a little bit more classed up. You get this nice hard body line that goes from the front all the way to the back tail light here. You also get much more pronounced arches over the wheel fenders there, and then the lower rocker is just nice and clean, nothing too gaudy. For anyone wondering, this is sitting on 235 width 60 series sidewall with an 18-inch wheel, disc brakes all the way around as one would expect. You get the nicely color matched mirror caps up here. You also get integrated turn signals. This one being an EXL, you do get the push button start, and you can see the sensor for the locking feature on there. You also do get a moonroof to go along with it for those who enjoy a good moonroof. As we move along to the back, you can definitely see where it still resembles the old one from a basic standpoint as far as the shape of the lights, but you do get a much more modern looking light housing, as well as these two little integrated lights there with your backup lights. I believe those are LED. I will have to find out a little bit later on. You can see more of the parking sensors in the back with a little bit of that honeycomb piece all the way back here. Otherwise, it's pretty clean out back. Can't even see the one little exhaust pipe that's all the way tucked up there. So they definitely tried to make it a bit more minimal, which is nice. Looks really clean. You do get your rear backup camera right up there as well. Some people don't like it. I don't think it matters, but the rear wiper is here as opposed to tucked up on the top there. This one, I didn't get confirmation or not, but these are where the roof rails probably would be, but it does not appear that this particular vehicle has them. You get a bit of chrome going all the way around the windows, which looks pretty nice. Would have liked to see that black. I don't know if they've had a sport version of this or not that gives you the black on the outside, but I think that would be a nice touch. All right, let's move around back once more. Take a look at what we have for rear cargo space. As you would expect, it does have the power up rear liftgate with quite a bit of space back here, actually. You do get LED lights in the back, little coat hook type thing, the place for a rear cover, which this one doesn't have. Get a 12-volt socket, and then you get place for your mats with a couple little cubbies down on the side. I don't know the exact cargo volume, but I do believe it is ever so slightly larger than the outgoing model. And then under here you get a full donut. It's not a full size spare, but it is a donut with your, looks like you get a funnel over there, as well as all your other tools that you would come to expect. That folds down nicely. And actually, this thing has a secondary load floor. I did that on accident. So it looks like you see that little ridge back there. That's going to give you a secondary, a little bit lower place to put stuff. So I did that on accident. One thing that some people may notice, others may not, but just so you know, the levers that were back here to put the back seats down are gone now, and you just have these little levers up here. Let me see if I can actually get it. There you go. So it is a bit of a reach. I'm 6'1", and that was still a bit of a reach for me. So obviously, you know, depending on your height, that might be a little bit easier or a little bit harder, but it is something to just kind of keep in mind. So let's go ahead and close this. Just push the button and it goes down, and let's see what kind of leg room you're working with in the back seat. So it's actually got a pretty good amount of leg room back here. Let me get in here so you can see. I am sitting behind myself at 6'1". I have a pretty good amount of headroom back here. Leg room leaves a little bit to be desired. I am hitting my knees on the back of the seat, but the seat itself is actually pretty comfortable. So if you're a little bit taller, you'll be plenty comfortable back here. The seats do recline quite a bit, so you can definitely take a nap depending on how much stuff you have in the back. But continuing around in the car here, you do get rear seat air vents, which is a very nice touch. You only get one rear pocket though, which is kind of interesting. There is not one of those on the back seat of the driver's seat. So let's get back out here. You can see more of that kind of honeycomb pattern going on the door panel. You get the little tweeter here in the door. Pretty decent size pocket on the back, but you know, not too crazy. Cup holder, nice padded rear armrest. And these seats are, I believe they're leather. If not, they're a synthetic leather. Either way, they're very nice, very comfortable, and pretty easy to lean back and forth. You get your typical cup holders, 2 of them to be exact. No pass-through for skis or anything, but that's not a huge deal. And then you also get the nice and easy access to your child seat anchors for those who need it. So let's move on to the front seat. All right, front seat time. So this is an EXL, like I mentioned before. So what that basically means is that you're going to get power everything. So power seat with lumbar support, forward, backward, up and down. I believe, I'll check on the other side, power passenger seat. You get 2 memory functions, typical window controls. I believe they are automatic one-touch up and down. More of that nice texture up here. Plenty of gloss black, so if you tend to touch everything a lot, you're definitely going to get fingerprints pretty much everywhere. But let's jump in and get this thing started up here. So you can see a nice Nice set of gauges down here. I believe they are completely digital. I don't believe there are any analog things other than the speedometer. So I believe the speedometer is analog and everything else is digital. So we'll go ahead and close the door. And it's a pretty quiet cabin in here. I believe this is the newest version of Honda's infotainment system. You get a regular volume knob, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. I believe they are wireless. I'll correct myself if they are not in the editing process, so bear with me on that. You get dual zone, automatic climate control, you get heated seats, heated side mirrors as well, wireless charging for your phone, as well as a USB Type A and a USB Type C, as well as a 12 volt socket for whatever you might want to use. And then new and improved mode selector, so you can go up and down, you can go normal, econ, and now there's actually a snow mode. So econ, normal. I believe those are the only, yep, those are the only modes that you get to pick from, but there are some nonetheless. Then you get your automatic start stop off, downhill descent control. It is an electronic parking brake, and then you get a very nice real shifter. I believe the outgoing model did have a push button transmission, and some people like it, some people hate it, but nonetheless that's what it has. And then for the air vents, they're actually new as well, and you get the nice, very clicky tactile feedback from those. They'll look very similar to what you find in the new Civic, because that's where this started from my understanding. Decent sized center console, nice little lift up, little tray that looks like you can put it in a couple different spots to suit your needs. No charging or anything in there, so if you need extra charge ports, it looks like that's it up there. So these two are going to be the only ones that you're going to get. I haven't found any throughout the rest of the car. There are none in the back seat, which is a huge bummer. I know a lot of other vehicles in this segment do have rear seat USB ports, so that's a bit of a shame. But pretty small glove box, actually. I would have thought that that would be a bit on the bigger side, but nonetheless. So yeah, here we go. It is a power seat on that side as well. It comes with all of their safety stuff, so you've got pre-collision system, adaptive cruise, parking sensors, blind spot monitoring. This one even has a auto-dimming rear view mirror. You do get LED internal overhead lights with a sunglass holder. No home link on this particular model. That might be a option on the Touring model, but on the EXL you are not going to be getting that. So let's see how it drives. Alright guys, so we are now out on the road. I'm gonna turn around here in a moment to take it for a spin on the highway, but we're gonna start with going down a little bit more of a back road here. So far, doing about 45 miles an hour, and this thing is quiet, it's comfortable. I can see why they are going to have quite a good seller on their hands with this one. So let's talk about power real quick. So the new model makes 190 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque. That is from a 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, and they have that mated to a CVT transmission. CVTs do get quite the bad rap, but I think for a majority of people, a CVT is going to be fine. It comes with a 60,000 mile warranty, so if you're looking to lease this car, I don't see why you should ever have any problems with it. This thing drives really, really nice. Pedal feel is pretty snappy for being a CVT. If you've driven the old CRV, this one does feel like it's got a little bit more response to it. I definitely think it's an upgrade over the last one. Steering feel is actually really, really nicely balanced. Personally, I like a little bit heavier steering feel, and this thing drives really nicely. It's got plenty of plenty of pep. Seating position is nice, and the steering wheel itself is just so comfortable. It's thick, right where you want it to be, much more engaging. Nice smooth texture, which is nice. This particular one does not have a heated steering wheel, which is kind of a bummer, considering this particular one is $37,000 MSRP, but I think the rest of the package is really nice. I will see you guys in a moment. We're gonna get on the highway just a couple miles down the road here, and we'll see what it's got for merging power. Alright, welcome back. We are going to be merging onto the highway for just a quick little stint here. We are at the end of the on-ramp doing about 55 miles an hour, and we have a pretty easy way to merge, so let's give it full throttle. And I mean, it sounds like a CVT, but honestly, the power is pretty solid. I mean, it takes a moment to spool up, as you would expect from a turbo with a CVT, but it's very responsive. I mean, there's very little delay between when you push on the pedal and when you actually feel the car start to pull, which is really nice. So I think this powertrain feels a lot more refined than the outgoing one. As far as wind noise, not too much. I don't know exactly what tires are on this particular version. I'd have to check when we get back, but most of what I hear, and I think you could just hear it as well, most of what I'm hearing is more tire noise than wind noise. I think it's one of the smoothest SUVs I've driven. I've driven quite a few of them. We're gonna... It's got plenty of merging power. So, you know, if that's something that you're worried about, this thing does fine. We're just gonna jump back up on the highway. You do have to give it a second or so because it is a turbo, but it's got all the beans. It goes. 190 horsepower and 176 pound-feet of torque is pretty good. It's more than the Nissan Rogue, if I remember correctly, and it's a little bit less than like a Toyota RAV4, but from like a base engine perspective, this is definitely quieter than a RAV4 is. Just driving it around on the highway, very comfortable. You could certainly do long road trips in one of these and be perfectly comfortable the entire time you do it. So we're just gonna take our exit here and go back to the dealership, and I'll show you under the hood so you can see what's powering this beast. Alright, here we are back at the dealer, and we're just gonna quickly take a look under the hood. For all those wondering, I believe the turbo is down in there. Honestly, I don't really know how they packaged all of this, so I figured I would just show it to you so that way anybody interested in it can say that I showed it to them. So here it is. Pretty little 4-cylinder down in there, 1.5 liter. I mean, just look at how much room there is behind this thing. They could totally put a bigger motor in there if they wanted to, but that's what we're working with. I do like that it is on hydraulics, which is something that not every vehicle in this class has. But honestly, I think in 2022, every single car sold should have hydraulics to hold up the hood. That's just a me thing. The only thing that would have been nice to see is a little bit of extra like fire suppressant up in the top there. I know some other vehicles have like that fabric cover thing that would plop into these little holes, and in the event of a fire it comes down to actually kind of put it out in a way. But you know, not a huge deal. This thing is going to be extremely safe and you shouldn't have any worries about it, but that would have been a nice little thing to see. Satisfying little click there, but that's gonna pretty much wrap it up for my little quick video on the brand new 2023 Honda CR-V. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments section below. And a huge shout out to Honda Stratum here in Stratham, New Hampshire, for allowing me access to this car to bring to you guys. Pretty impressive that there is a 2023 here on the ground. I believe they do have a couple of them as well, so if you're in the market for one, certainly hit them up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.